Yo, what's going on, everyone? Marco here. Thank you guys for joining me today. Today I kind of wanted to pop in and talk about the Game Awards. The Game Awards were something that I didn't watch live this year. Interestingly enough, I actually typically always try to catch it live, but I don't know, the last 2 years I kind of wasn't really feeling it, so I didn't really make it out to try to watch it this time around, which was apparently a mistake. There were a lot of big reveals this year, apparently, including from like Sonic and stuff, but of course you had like the Witcher game that got unveiled and everything. But mainly what I wanted to talk about in today's video is Nintendo's lack of presence at the Game Awards this year, and whether or not I feel like that's a problem, or like what happened, like where are they? So for today's video, I have an NPR article pulled up. Really, I just have this article pulled up just to kind of go over the winners and kind of like reference it, because as you may already know, Astrobot won the Game Awards this year, and Astrobot is heavily based off of Nintendo IP like Mario and platformers. So much so that apparently the game developers on stage thanked Nintendo for keeping the 2D and 3D platforming genre really alive, kind of crediting them as the primary studio who's really been spearheading most efforts for the platforming genre in gaming. So I think that was really nice. I think that was a really lovely courtesy. I have not played Astrobot yet. It is right on the edge of my back burner. I'm really hoping to get to it soon. But yeah, I just think it's interesting that Game of the Year went to a game where the developers credited Nintendo, and yet Nintendo didn't win anything this year. And while I will say I don't think there's a direct correlation there. Obviously, I think it's not like Astrobot was up against like Mario Odyssey this year, for example, right? Like there's a difference. Like Nintendo wasn't really didn't have anything that was like there with Astrobot. But I think that kind of piggybacks into something else that's interesting, is Nintendo's presence in 2024 wasn't really felt like previous years. They had some great launches this year, don't get me wrong. I really enjoyed, for example, like Echoes of Wisdom and everything. But it got nominated and it didn't win. It actually, I think, lost to Astrobot in its category as well there too. So let's just kind of go ahead and scroll through and see what we can kind of point out. Again, like most of my videos, they're kind of just wanting to chat with y'all, kind of bounce some thoughts back and forth of things that I had here. So yeah, let's just kind of scroll through. So I believe this is just kind of, and also shout outs to the author of this article for putting it together, as I will be referencing it the entire video. They kind of go off and sound off about certain things about the Game Awards. They do point out, and I would like to emphasize this as well too, how Jeff Keighley acknowledged the mass layoffs in the industry, which is something that he did get criticized for last year, rightfully so. I would say I think it's fair that in an award environment where you're kind of like praising and praising the gaming industry and everything, where you don't mention the fact that there's also people who are a part of the gaming sphere, very prominently a part of it, as they are making the games, and they are also going through some hardships. So I'm glad that they brought in this Game Changer Award to this individual here, who is offering support for developers looking for work. But that's kind of like a brief aside. I really kind of wanted to get into mostly Nintendo's lack of presence here. Most decorated games, there's not a Nintendo game on here. We have the full winners list. So most decorated, I guess this is kind of them summing up who got the most nominations and wins. Again, like I mentioned before, with a little less context, Nintendo is not on this list. We got Game of the Year. Nintendo wasn't even nominated for any Game of the Year this year, which again is fair. I don't think they would have had anything that would have been considered Game of the Year this year. But yeah, so they're not there. Astrobot wins. They're not in game direction. Astrobot won. Narrative, also not here. Art direction, also not here. Score and music, also not here. Audio design, they're not here either. Best performance, innovation, game for impact, ongoing game, community support, independent game. Obviously they couldn't be in any game, so these don't really count too much. Mobile game, there's Pokemon Trading Card Pocket, which is fire, by the way. If you guys have played that game, I might make a video about that one. That one is fun, but that's more of a Game Freak IP, so that doesn't really also kind of qualify. We have the VR, obviously they don't really do that. Action game, also not here. Action adventure, Nintendo shows up. Here we go. Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, but lost to Astrobot. Okay, interesting. And then we go down to RPG. also not present. Now, mind you, I don't mean this as like a shade to any of these games that won. I think all of the games that won kind of deserve it in their own right. I think that's kind of like a commonality that I've been seeing with people as they've been reflecting on the Game Awards is, yeah, some of these wins do seem pretty fair. I'm kind of bummed that Rebirth didn't win more. But yeah, let's segue back into Nintendo, as that's kind of what we're kind of the overall point, you know, that I'm trying to look at here. As a Nintendo fan myself, I just think it's interesting. Obviously, you know, with the Switch 2 coming out, I think you can't ignore the fact that that's probably a big reason why Nintendo's presence wasn't really here. It is more so just kind of like as I'm scrolling through this, more of just like a bummer type of thing. Like, oh dang, I guess this year was on the slower side of things for Nintendo. You know, year-end reflection and whatnot. So yeah, here is best family game, or as people like to joke, the Nintendo category. Even Nintendo didn't really have the full like list covered, and even then, when they had 3 games to the non-Nintendo games, you know, they outmatched it 3-2. They lost to Astrobot, which I guess is fair because, you know, if Astrobot wins Game of the Year, they probably also would win this category as well too. Also, I need to like scoot back from the camera. I noticed in my last 2 videos and in this one, I'm like doing it. I feel like I don't know, like I can't read. I promise y'all I can read. I can see. Like I'm like really like leaning in. But I'm sorry. Best family game: Princess Peach Showtime, Mario Party Jamboree, which I need to get, by the way. I've been really meaning to play that. It looks really good. Probably like quintessential Mario Party, if you will. Princess Peach Showtime, I would say that's probably a good family game. Definitely very short. I have not played it myself, but from what I watch, it looks fun. But I can't particularly recommend it there, so I understand why that one also didn't get it. Echoes of Wisdom, I feel goes a little underappreciated, just given how much it re-envisioned the kind of top-down 2D like Zelda format. I did really like that game. Played it from start to finish. Thought it was really great. Do I think it's better than Astrobot? Again, I haven't played Astrobot, so I can't really say. But I will say that if Astrobot's kind of touting that they took inspiration from like peak Mario, and you have a lot of like reviewers go on about how like, oh, Astrobot is like, you know, the best platformer since like a Mario Odyssey, you know, like type of thing. I can see how that could be Echoes of Wisdom. I think Echoes of Wisdom is good. It was good. It was very good. But yeah, I can see how it would still lose there. But that just kind of goes to show, and as I scroll through here a little bit, Nintendo is just not, you know, here. Okay, so here this one's pretty important. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond in most anticipated game, but that also didn't win. And now, not that I expected to beat Grand Theft Auto 6. I don't think anything was really beating GTA 6. I mean, you have GTA being an ongoing meme for the last 2 years, where people will be like, oh, we got this before GTA 6. Like, you know, like there's just no way you're beating that type of like impact that it has. But I do think it's a nice mention. I think I'm very excited to see what they do with Metroid Prime 4. But yeah, so they got that nod there, and all of these ones are just kind of like the esports teams and things, and then player's voice is obviously the player nominated and voted category, but Nintendo also didn't have a game there this year. So, you know, kind of reflecting on everything, I think it definitely it's kind of a bummer that Nintendo wasn't really present too much this year. I do think they really did cook with what they had, you know, launching like a new Mario and Luigi game and Echoes of Wisdom, and the new Zelda game featuring Zelda earlier in the year. But I'm spacing a little bit on the launches that they had this year. I'm like looking over at the games to try to jog my memory a little bit. But yeah, pretty Nintendo light year, and negative on their kind of nominations or lack thereof at the Game Awards, and also just lack of victories too, because the category that they normally always win, they didn't. They lost it to Astrobot, and kudos to Astrobot, truly, honestly. Like, I think I don't want to discredit that team at all, but yeah, just kind of wanted to get in here and ramble on about how Nintendo's lack of presence was felt, and it was missed. And I do hope that next year is let me get away from the microphone, because again, Nintendo but yeah, you know, they were missed. They were truly missed, and I do hope that next year, going into 2025, as the Switch 2 is very much positioned to release, I hope they have a big year, and I hope they show out big at the Game Awards next year too. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Do you guys miss Nintendo's lack of presence? Did you guys expect it? How do you feel about it losing out to Astrobot, or do you guys kind of respect and recognize Astrobot as a worthy contender to quality Nintendo platformers? Yeah, sound off. But otherwise, it was a pleasure talking to y'all today, and I do hope you have a good one. So peace.